Thursday night chat is back, and we are going to talk all about Manchester City back at home against Newcastle. It's been a long slug away from home. We're back at home. We're going to talk about that, as well as the Premier League and a little bit of transfer news as well. Here tonight, live on the Mancunian Way. Let's go, Blues. Good evening and welcome to Thursday Night Chat. We are back. Hope we are all well. Good evening, gentlemen.
Evening.
Good evening.
Alan's gone for a poo. He'll be back shortly.
Oh, he's going to get you back when he comes back.
I thought we passed those days, Martin.
Don't shake your heads at me.
He's gonna get you back.
FIFA is 18 years old tomorrow. Big up to FIFA. Happy birthday,
all right.
mate. There was one ticket available for Newcastle this afternoon. I tried to get hold of it for you, but because I've exceeded my amount of tickets, it wouldn't let me. I was trying to do it as a thank you for all your moderating, mate. I was going to do it as a big thank you because I know you've been trying to get hold of a ticket for about 3 weeks, but we couldn't get hold of it, so I do apologise, but I tried my very best. Hope you are well. Ozzy sat there going, where's my presents? Yeah. Just wait. Ozzy, listen, end of the season I start giving out. I have thought of an idea. I'm doing this on the fly. I'm going to do an end of a season award show. I'm going to have a chat with Ozzy and Rich, and I've got some ideas.
Nice. Those of you in the chat, take a look at Ozzy. Tell me if you notice anything different about Ozzy right now in the chat.
He's grown a set.
That's fighting talk, Martin, if I've ever heard it.
What's happened to Martin today?
No, I know it. Breaking news.
First shot was at Alan, now Ozzy.
He's here. He's actually here.
Some of us have got jobs to work, right?
Oh, behave. How are you doing anyway, gentlemen? I have got Pete and Rich in the background as well, so we'll bring them in.
Nice.
There we are. Good evening, gentlemen.
All right.
Evening.
Good to see you, man.
Good morning.
Morning, Rich.
What's Rich's name? That Paul Sitter.
I think he went from being rich to being poor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that Liverpool, United, and Chelsea have overtaken our wage bill, Yeah.
Right. It's relative.
Anyway, I hope you know
to get
everyone's just
new
watching
owners.
FIFA happy 18th. Yeah, it is tomorrow, but happy 18th for tomorrow. Anyway, good evening, Pete. How are you, mate? Welcome to the madhouse that is Manchester City.
Yeah, not so bad yourself.
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Good show.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely.
What we're going to do tonight, which is great now, we can go straight into our topic one, which is going across your screens. Pete, you don't have to stay around for all of it because some of it is just Manchester City related, but we're going to get straight into the Newcastle stuff. Pete is a Newcastle fan, and did you have a good time down at Wembley weekend, mate? I know the result didn't quite.
Yeah, result wasn't great, but the atmosphere was great. It was great to be there. First ever final I've been to. First ever final in over 20 years as well. Yeah, I really enjoyed the day down there. It was absolutely fantastic to be down there.
Good. Alan has joined us as well.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Alan.
You know.
I'm out. Evening. Morning it is here now. Morning, Rich.
Morning.
Martin, can we just get this clear from the beginning, okay, that we now have to refer to this game as Oil Classico? I mean, it's got to be done. I want future titles saying Oil Classico. It's got to be done.
Well, if you notice in the thumbnail, I did put some money behind the old badges just to, throwing money around, apparently.
Ozzy, for me, it'll always be Newcastle's chance for revenge for 1968. None of this modern stuff.
No, I want Oil Classico.
Right,
Come on.
So, let's get into it then. Newcastle at home. Breaking news. We've got a home game, gentlemen. We're actually at home for the first time in about 16 months, it feels like. Our long slog around Europe and England is over.
Yeah.
We've had our little tour of southern England now. Bristol, Bournemouth, Forest, Midlands, over via Germany. We've sort of done it all. But we're back at home. Pete, you are the guest, so we'll start with you, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
From a Newcastle perspective, how do you feel about this game? Because you're not on the greatest run at the moment.
No. I've got to admit, I think City are going to be favourites for the game. I think they are going to have too much for us because of the way we're playing, and we haven't got a good record down there for a start. I don't think we've won down at the Etihad for a very, very long time in terms of being in the Premier League. So it's going to be very, very hard, but I would take a point all day long. If we give it our best, that's all we can ask for. Because we haven't been on a good run of form. Our performances have really started to dip in a way. They really, really have. We have been found out our way a little bit as well. So I think City are going to be favourites, unfortunately. Much as I hate to say it, but I think yous are going to be the favourites.
There was a stat I saw just for while I was doing the research for the show. Yeah, I do research, gentlemen. You've not won a game since 15th of January, which shocked me.
Yeah.
It literally shocked me, that one. Is it the draws that are hampering you at the moment?
I think that's one of the reasons. We've picked up so many draws against teams we should be beaten. And we're trying to play this way of trying to what you call walk the ball into the net far too many times, rather than try and create an opportunity, say, like outside the box when we know we can do it. But we're playing this like one way of just trying to walk the ball in. So we're getting found out with that in a little bit as well, which is really disappointing as well. When we know we can should be like to create an opportunity for ourselves, and we're just not doing that. So that's 2 points. So the draws and try to walk the ball into the net far too many times.
Ozzy, start with you. What are your initial thoughts on this game?
Well, I just wanted to check. Am I right to thinking that Pope's going to be back after his red card?
Yes, he is.
Yeah. So that's a good thing for you, let's be honest, because I think you've been missing him.
Yep.
He's been an integral part of your team coming into Newcastle. So, I mean, the last time you actually had a victory against us was in 2019, wasn't it? I think it was
Back at
2-1 that day.
Yeah, that was at our place.
Wasn't
Yeah,
Alan Pardew the manager then as well?
No, it was Rafa.
Was it Rafa?
It was Rafa. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think Newcastle have particularly done well for where they are. I mean, at one stage they were in the top 4, obviously only just kind of really gone out. So I think for me, I mean, I know a few Newcastle fans, and a lot of them have been realistic, kind of going, we've just been happy to kind of be up there, amongst the bigger teams. I mean, one of my mates that I work with is a Newcastle fan, and he was hoping, for a trophy. Even the Carabao Cup would have just been the highlight for him. He's been watching Newcastle since the 60s, so he was just hoping for a win. I think most of us were, especially from the blue side of Manchester. So it was a shame that you didn't get it then. But I do like what Newcastle are doing. They are being smart. They haven't overspent. They've brought in some really good players. The manager seems to be doing a fantastic job. And if you stay around the European spots, I think that's just a win for you, because I don't think Newcastle fans would have dreamed of staying in the top 4 really, but they would have hoped just to kind of be in amongst Europe and then splashing a bit more cash in the summer. So I think going to the game, I think, yes, your form has been off for a while. Yes, City, you could say, are probably the favourites, but I wouldn't cut Newcastle out. Do you know what I mean? You're the underdog right now, and you've got some good players. If they step up, and you could realistically kind of drop a 2-1 or a draw out of City at the moment, because City, yes, have been playing better lately, but they're still, for me, not on a top form. So I think it could be an interesting game between the two teams.
Vader?
I hate hearing those haven't won in so many games or haven't conceded, and I hate those stats. But this is a big game. This is a big game for both clubs. I'm curious to see how, or when we get down into the show talking about it, but I'm curious to see what the 11 might be for Newcastle, because they do have a lot of weapons on there. It's interesting. It'd be interesting to hear what really is the combination of the players and why they're choosing to walk the ball into the net. But they do have a very strong 11. So I'm nervous for it, but I'm calm because it's at home. It's at home, and the fans that are going to be going out there are definitely going to be cheering City on to get a result. And because I feel that there's a lot of antsiness that's going to want to propel the team to get 3 points versus 1. Newcastle, I'm not going to say revenge. I'm not going to say avenge, because the draw was well deserved. Newcastle did their thing, and Pep was doing his thing with regards to the inverted fullbacks, but we definitely want to be at home and get this 3 points.
Alan? Then we'll come to Rich. Rich and his dogs.
They've got a strong opinion on this.
Rich and his dogs. It's a must-win game for it's a must-win game for us against Newcastle. Newcastle are the club that's coming up, and they are coming, and it won't be long before they're right up there in the top 4 and competing for the title with the cash that they've got. So get used to being called cheats, because we've been labelled that for 12 years. So and I don't begrudge you doing all that sort of stuff. So but I think tomorrow, I think City have to win, because if they don't win, or if you get a draw or beat us, then I think that's us finished. So there we go.
Alan's in the future. It means Saturday, if anyone's wondering what's going when he says tomorrow.
Alan thought we were finished about 5 years ago, so
Listen. I was sat in a restaurant last night with Leo Turner and Michael Sherlin, who are massive Tottenham fans, and I got it for 2 hours off them about how we cheat, how we launder money, and how we've been cheating for the last 13 years, whatever it may have been. I got it from the goods.
I just hope you mentioned Doyle and McAtee and the fact our kids at Sheffield United
knock them out.
I did start the conversation off with that last night, and just so our friend from Newcastle knows, these two lads are
just asking me, Tommy.
Our Tottenham fans are from London, but they've never. One's an executive at the ANZ. Can you imagine? He was worse than Leo. So
Alan,
there you go.
Tottenham.
Yeah,
I know. But Newcastle, Newcastle, they are coming without any shadow of a doubt. Over the next couple of years, they're going to be there, and good on them. And I've got don't begrudge anything that they can do. Good on them. I know. Martin has an issue with.
No. There's no issue.
Martin, they will trust.
He knows exactly. Alan, Chelsea, Liverpool. We're going to get onto it later. Chelsea, Liverpool, United, City ain't all disappearing, mate. This is what I'm going to ask Pete this question in a bit. Rich, I'm going to come with a really question for you in a minute, Pete. I'm just intrigued on it because I was listening to some of the lads from the Magpie channel mention this on that fans forum the other day with Gary Neville, and they've sort of on the same lines I was thinking wise. Rich, your initial thoughts on Newcastle?
But I think it's inevitably going to be 0-0 because I think
I must be the only one positive.
The Premier League record for the most goals consecutively scored is City against Newcastle. I think maybe United, Leicester too. We've scored against Newcastle 28 consecutive games in the Premier League. Therefore, it's bound to be 0-0. I would normally be predicting 1-0 to Newcastle, Chris Wood scoring, because he's gone to Forest and already scored a last-minute goal against us. That he can't do it this time. So,
Are you related to Chris Wood?
I think it'll be
related to the guy? I'm sick of hearing his name.
All you have to do is mention Chris Wood and Martin just goes off on one classic.
Because he's absolute shite.
I think it'll be.
You talk about him like he's Lionel Messi.
I think it'll be tight. I think it'll be, 1-0, maybe 1-0 City, 0-0, 1-1. I think it's going to be a tighter game than.
Yeah, it will be. I agree with you, Rich.
Alan, you get nervous when we're 5-0 up. Behave.
I do because I'm old school, mate. I'm typical City.
There's old school and then there's you. I don't know where you're at. You still dream about David Pleat dancing on Main Road.
Mate,
That's where you're at.
That was there, mate.
I'm going to come to you with this. And people think I have an agenda. And I've spoke to you even on your show about this.
You have an agenda.
And I was listening to the lads at the Magpie channel.
Which agenda is this, by the way? Because you haven't.
I hate Newcastle. I don't actually at all. I quite like Newcastle. Alan, zip. Good boy. Good dog. Stay in the corner. Give him a treat. Rich, give him a treat. Hey, honestly, it's my point. Is this season Newcastle's best chance for top 4? In a way, have you blown it if you don't make it? And what I mean by that is, with Chelsea and Liverpool having such an off season.
That's a good question. I wouldn't say it'll be everything. If we don't get top 4, not all will be lost. I mean, I said 7th beginning of the season. I think that would be a great start. I wouldn't mind Europa League conference because we haven't had European football for over 10 years, back in the 2012-2013 season under Pardew. No, I think that this is still early doors in terms of the ownership, and it will tie the time will come. It's just about patience, because I personally think we haven't got the squad for Champions League football yet. We haven't got the squad for it yet, and possibly for this season we haven't got it yet.
The only reason I mention it is because, and we're going to talk about it later on in the show, United look like they're on the way back, despite someone here saying they were getting relegated and blah, 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 blah. United are on the way back. Liverpool are going to be back next season. Chelsea are gonna they're gonna get it right at some point. They're not gonna keep doing what they're doing. You're gonna have City spending a lot of money in the summer. You're gonna have Tottenham who are gonna come back. You're gonna have themselves coming back. Pardon?
In the Championship.
But what I'm saying is it's like they're saying there's only 4 spots and there's only 4 trophies. Someone's going to always lose out, and it means someone big.
But Martin, I think you're talking about Newcastle were bottom of the league, looking like they were going, you know, they were no chance for anything other than relegation, 14 months ago. And they've taken a team and they've gone from rock bottom, virtually unable to win a game, to getting themselves genuinely into the top 4 mix and the top 4 challenge. So I don't see, however way you look at it, that can be anything else than above par and successful. I don't see, even if Newcastle dropped to 6th, it is still brilliant progress.
Mitch, I'm with you on that, and I'm with Pete. I'm with it.
Yeah.
But Pete will know there's Newcastle fans that expectations, as City have done, we're second, lose a game, and it's a meltdown FC job. You know that, Rich.
Yeah. But Newcastle will be stronger in.
No, but it's not. You think every Newcastle fan sat there going, 6, great, we're happy with that. There are Newcastle fans out there who, as Pete will tell you, if they went from 4th to 6th, they'd be like, what's happened here?
Yeah.
Because we get that money, expectation jumps massively.
Yeah, well, that's their fault. That's their fault. Not no rational person has to.
I'm not saying it's not.
No rational person has to try and pretend that something's a failure, comparing it to totally unrealistic expectations. I mean, it's yeah.
I'm not saying it is. What I'm saying, my whole point of this is, my whole point of this is money doesn't guarantee you anything anymore in the game of football.
It helps.
Of course, it helps.
United spent 1.4 billion at Allen to win a Carabao Cup.
It was hilarious.
Yeah, but well,
I know that's my point.
They may win more.
Hilarious.
I still think that the majority of Newcastle fans still think that, you know, finishing within the top 7, you know, is an achievement right now. I think any realistic Newcastle fan would say that, really. You know, the dream of being in the top 4 is brilliant, but I think, as Pete alluded to, Newcastle haven't got the squad yet to play European football, at least Champions League football. You know, they are going to need time to build the team. It took City 5 seasons to win the Premier League when we took over, so it ain't going to happen overnight. You can have all the money in the world, and Newcastle have got all the money in the world, realistically, but they're still having to play with financial fair play. They're still having to kind of deal with a system that is really broken in a lot of respects, that just supports the biggest teams like United and Liverpool. You know, so I think realistically, you know, it'll take a bit of time, but, you know, good on them. Do you know what I mean? Break the mold and break the you know, the likes of Liverpool and United, because they've been up there for too long. I mean, it's new teams like Newcastle and ourselves that are coming in now and starting to kind of upset the, you know, the likes of United and Liverpool. So bring it on. Come on, Newcastle.
Yeah. Same with Arsenal. If Arsenal comes second, it's still a very good season for
Arsenal, by the way, in that little list as well, yeah.
Yeah, if Arsenal comes second, it's still a very good season for Arsenal. If they win the league, if they win the league or Newcastle get top 4, that is exceptional.
Don't know, Rich. Arsenal fans are winning the title according to them, mate.
Oh, some, but many still think.
Majority, mate. I've listened to them. The majority think they're winning the title. All.
So you've heard what about 200,000
people? I've been listening, honestly, mate. I wish Vader was still here. If Vader was here, he'd tell you that Arsenal fans have gone to a whole new level.
Yeah, but you judge things by Twitter and Twitter Spaces, not by the real world.
I think for Arsenal fans,
old fogies still live in the pre-digital world.
I'm everything
on Twitter.
You know what I mean?
I think if Arsenal to lose the league, you know, the last minute kind of thing, I think it would be a bit of a letdown for Arsenal fans. I think they probably would be massively gutted, you know.
The point I'm trying to make, Pete, and listen, I'm with them. You as fans, as a club, deserve it. But do you understand what I'm saying about the...
Yep.
When City got taken over,
Yep.
nobody else. We were kind of on our own just to go and build. Yeah, we had United, we had Liverpool. United were on a downfall after Ferguson.
Yep.
And Arsenal were just capitulating under the Wenger days at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So City sort of had a little bit of a free run. Newcastle, like Everton, have come in with a pile of money, and everyone is awash of money now. So what I'm trying to say is I don't think it's as inevitable as some are saying is just straight away they're coming in to win the title. They're coming in to finish challenge for this time. Because I'm telling you now, United ain't going to sit back and spend now. Liverpool ain't going to sit back and spend nothing.
Don't forget, when we started in 2008, we didn't have Premier League financial fair play rules.
Exactly, that's my point.
Or UEFA fair play rules. That was brought in to stop City, to stop PSG, to stop Chelsea in 2012-13, which is true. And Newcastle have got to put up with all this bullshit. And when they start to win things, which they will, they're coming. Mm-hmm. When they start to win things, they'll try and invent some more rules to try and stop them as well. Because the red cartel and the white cartel, i.e. Tottenham, will put their foot down and say, no, we're not allowing this because they have all the power in the Premier League, which they do.
But haven't you've added, there was a thing today, wasn't there, Pete, about the owners having something to do with, I know it came in the Sun and that wouldn't wipe my ass with it half the time, but it came from, they had something to do with the government, didn't they?
Yeah.
So you're already starting to get that little bit of kickback from the rest of the league.
Absolutely.
Which I think I said on one of your shows, it was always going to come.
Oh, it was definitely.
Do you understand what I mean, though, Pete? I'm not saying it in a disrespectful manner.
Oh, no, definitely not.
I'm saying it is, what is the expectations of Newcastle fans up there? Is it, if we've been in the top four, we drop the 6, that's fine. But are you then happy with that next season?
I mean, we'll try and look to build on it the best we can, depend where we finish come the end of the season. I think if we did say ended up in the Europa League, and if we did finish 7th, got into Europa Conference, I think the owners would look to improve to try and aim higher in a way. They might want to go for the Europa League next, aim for round a spot that way, or they might want to get into the top 4. I think it all just depends who comes in, who goes out the door as well, because we've got still a lot of deadwood in that side of ours. I mean, when you look at our bench, there's only possibly 1, 2, 3 players who could change a game, if that. Where the rest of them, you're thinking the championship at best.
Pete, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, of course.
Realistically, what's more important for Newcastle fans right now? Is it getting into that top 4 and playing Champions League, or winning a trophy, no matter what that trophy is?
Wow. That's a hard one.
There you go, Pete.
Oh, wow.
If there's any Newcastle fans in the chat, let us know.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a tough one because...
I'd say trophy.
Yeah, I think trophy, absolutely. I mean, I had a couple of some United fans saying to me after the game, you'll be back at Wembley again soon and your time will come. And I believe our time will come. Definitely as well. I think, trophy.
Yeah. Trophy.
I think once you've won a trophy, I think that just kickstarts you, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it does. Absolutely, it does.
We're talking United, about them kickstarting their kind of run back, and they've only just won the Carabao Cup. So, but for
Newcastle, it was the World Cup. I thought it was the World Cup the way they carried on.
But for Newcastle, I think it's just winning a trophy of any sort after the drought you've had. Would just be an amazing kind of thing for the fans, I think.
And I think this is where the fans and the club differ, because every club chairman out there will say champions. It's like when Wigan won the FA Cup. Every fan and got relegated. Every fan would have taken winning the FA Cup, over getting relegated. but the owners in the club would have taken staying up over winning the FA Cup because it's worth a lot of money. And that's the thing. In the long term, getting in the Champions League can get you 100 million more a year. And that Newcastle allows the wage bill to go up, hugely, allows the ability to sign players and builds that long-term performance. But no one 20 years later sits back and remembers when we're in Europe in that year, unless it's the only year you ever get there. No one remembers just being in Europe, but everyone remembers winning something. So for the fans, it's always going to be winning a trophy. But for the long term and for building the club, it's almost head v heart, isn't it? Your head's got to say top four, the money, build. Your heart's going to say getting down to Wembley or, Istanbul or wherever it's going to be, winning a trophy, celebrating the memories and all that. And, that's what you remember in the long term.
Yeah, it's a weird one because, as you know, City fans will know this. We spent, apart from last year, we were at Wembley every year, and you could see the difference each year of going. Because it became a yearly thing, and we're off to Wembley and we're off to this. It's that first, second, even third time is magnificent, but then when you're there 4, 5, 6, 7. It sounds awful because I hated the attitude, but there was a less of a focus going into it because it was like, we're here every year. We want to win the Champions League. And you do see it amongst City fans. Like I said to you, Pete, we're second top goal scorers, and some of our fans have had a meltdown this season when we draw a game. And you're like, oh, come on. And sadly, expectations just... they wildly go out of control. And it just becomes anything to moan at. Sadly, it really does. But, I really hope you do it. And you do. Sorry, all I've ever said is, it's when I hear it's inevitable. Because Villa have a lot of money. Wolves have a billionaire owner stuck behind them. Yeah. Everyone has billionaire owners now in the Premier League. I think City were just lucky that they got in before the drawbridge went up. Yeah, that was the big thing. City were lucky. I hold my hands up. We won the bloody lottery. Thanks very much. See you later. We won the lottery, but we got in before all these rules came in, which is sad, really. It really is. But let's get back to Saturday. What's your injuries like, Pete? Is Bruno back? We know Pope's back, but is Bruno back? Almiron fit?
I've not heard to say he's definitely out, so I'm hoping he is going to be back, Bruno. Miggy, I think's fine. Longstaff, I think, was the other one. Again, I've heard nothing to say that they're missing yet. But again, we'll hear from the Eddie's press conference tomorrow. But I'm hoping they should be back. Bruno, we need in there because we've not won a game when he's been out the team. And he carries us forward.
I didn't think he was back until late March. But am I wrong on that? Because I thought, was it an ankle injury he got?
Yeah, it was during the final. I've not heard anything to say that he's definitely missing. So we'll see. So I'm hoping he is, but I'm hoping he is fit though.
From what I understand, City are cleared of injuries, aren't we? Everyone's back now. Stones is back.
Stones and Laporte have both trained, but I'm not sure we're going to see either of them actually play at the weekend. I think, they may get a bit of a warm-up last, half an hour, 20 minutes of the match possibly. But
Laporte's coming back from illness, so his isn't a... So he should
I'm not saying anything on Laporte now. You know where Laporte's going, Rich, at the end.
No, we know where we're going to have loads of talk, and then they aren't going to be able to pony up the money.
No one's leaving.
Well,
Laporte's out, mate. He's gone.
Every year we hear how Barcelona are going to find money, and every year they then come in and offer us, 5 million over 10 years. And
we'll save that for later
Yeah.
on, Rich. I've got them all coming at you later,
free
mate,
mini.
with all these midfielders we're buying. I like Coffey, Newcastle fan. If Man City don't win the Champions League this season, would this season count as a step backward? For me, no. But that's my perspective on the European Carabao Cup. I'll let everyone else jump down that one.
I mean,
Yeah.
if we come second in the Premier League, it's a step back. If
Yeah.
we win the Premier League, it's doing what we've done.
I think the question should be: have we played as well as previous 2 years? And the answer to that question is no, we haven't.
I think it just comes down to Pep's new system, really, and whether it actually fully works when it comes down to the big matches.
Yeah.
Only time will tell. We've got Leipzig to play, and then obviously after that, it's who knows. It could be Madrid for all we know, and then it's it's going to see how to replicate a better result after the poor result that we had previously from them. So. Yeah, the jury's still out for me over the Champions League.
Okay. What would you class it as, Pete? Are you expecting from an outsider fan, not in the city? Are you surprised City haven't won it?
I am a little bit, actually. I thought they would have, for at least one of the. They would have won it possibly last season against Chelsea, I thought. I really thought they were going to do it back in 2021 against Chelsea.
Should have done. We should have done. We cocked it up.
Yeah.
We did cock it up. Pep cocked it up big time.
I mean, challenge with you, Rich. Definitely a step back if we don't win the league. So every year we don't win the league, is that a step back? Are we meant to win the league for the next 20 years? I don't know.
There's nothing wrong with stepping back. It's inevitable, but it is a step back. If your aim is the Premier League every season and you win it and then you come second, there's no way you can paint it other than a step back. And then when you win it again, it's a step forward. I mean, that's the way it is.
Yeah, with Pep on this, I think there's too much negativity goes into it. I think maybe you got to look at your opposition as well.
But Martin, it doesn't have to be a negative thing stepping back. It's.
No, but that's the way it's looked upon.
Well, yeah, but people can look at things as they want. But I don't think it has to be painted as a massively negative thing if you don't win the league every year, because no one can. That's just normal. But
no, you can't
hide from the fact. You can't hide from the fact that if you take a step back, it is a step back.
We could totally agree with Richard.
Took Fergie 20 years to win 2. Took Barcelona 40-odd years to win 1. That's my issue with the Champions League. It's a potluck competition.
I think we all know that the year we win the Champions League is going to be the year we're 3rd or 4th in the Premier League and think everything's going terribly, and then we'll probably win the Champions League because since Liverpool in the 80s and obviously United winning a treble, the teams when they won the Champions League from this country, it's often been when they've been 5th or 6th and they've been able to rest all their players in the Premier League because they've almost given up on it and done well in the Champions League without the pressure. It seems that when you're top of the league and every Premier League game is hard, that the pressure is actually bigger on the players and the team, and teams do not do as well. I mean, look at the Liverpool side that won the Champions League,
2005.
And even the one that won it 3-4 years ago were second, but the Liverpool team, when they actually win the league and most it, United winning the league about 15 times or whatever, only a couple of times got up to win the Champions League. It's hard, and it's a cup. You can get to the final having played no one decent and win it, or you can get Real Madrid and Bayern Munich in the group stage. I mean, it's just the way it goes.
Cheers, Big Steve. Hey, Steve, we need to get you back on again, mate. I'll send you a message on Insta. Great seeing you, mate.
Martin, why are you looking like a Newcastle fan tonight with your Adidas top black and black hat and a black beard?
And Aussie.
I didn't realise there was a
It looks like 3 Newcastle fans and 2.
It does. Yeah, you do look like a Newcastle fan today, Martin.
I tell you what, Alan, I'll send you a lovely video from the stadium on Saturday.
Oh,
Right.
He's
A
right.
Newcastle fan or a wannabe gangster rapper.
I flat cap. Yeah. Pete, what do Newcastle have to do to get anything out of this game on Saturday for you? What are the danger men?
For you or for us?
Well, from you, from a Newcastle perspective, what is it City have to watch?
I think ASM will be St. Maximin will be one of them, because I thought, particularly in August, he had Kyle Walker on toast in that 3-3 game, so he's got to be up for this game. We've got to just try and get your defense. I think Eddie Howe needs to rotate a little bit for me as well. I think some players need coming out, some need to come in that deserve a chance for me as well. So it's like, I think Isak should come in for me. I think Wilson's looked very disappointing as of lately. He's not been the same since the World Cup. It's finished. I'd like to see Gordon be given a start, and I wouldn't mind seeing Target playing at left back, because I think Almiron's looking out of gas for me, the same with Burn as well. But I think we just need to turn up and just have a goal, give 110%. That's the main thing. So we've got to defend well as well, because we've been known for one of the best defences in the Premier League, but we have been really sloppy at times as of late.
I was going to ask, what's happened with the defence? Is it more they've just got tired? Because Botman and Dan Burn have been phenomenal all season.
Yep.
Phenomenal. Especially when you went to the Emirates, you absolutely fought like warriors down there.
Yep.
And I thought you were brilliant. I don't buy into all this negativity playing, because to me, you've seen up at James's Park, when West Ham and everyone comes to town, they're not going to let you play football. That is just the way that, you've got to stop your opponents. That night, you stopped Arsenal playing.
Yep.
I don't see a problem with it. But is that what you need on Saturday? Is it a flat back 5 in a way and stop us coming through?
I don't think we'll play 5 at the back, but we've just got to be defensively on our game of how we're normally been, because we have looked a little bit off. I mean, I was disappointed how we conceded the first goal down at Wembley. And I mean, the second goal was a little bit of a deflection, but we've conceded some sloppy goals which could have been avoided, in my opinion. And that's been really disappointing, because we've done well to avoid doing that, but we've started to do that. I think we've had a bit of a switching off, but we need to start getting back to that, how we normally did.
Well,
I think
the
best game plan for Eddie Howe and the Newcastle players is just to bring the game to City, like they did, at the start of the season. I think that's what they really need to do. Is don't play City's game. You've got to play your game. I mean, Burns was up for an England call-up, wasn't he? Really, and I don't know if that's going to still happen, but we'll see. But I mean, that's a big positive. Do you know what I mean? I think you need a little bit more from Isaac. He hasn't come in and lit up the Premier League very much.
Oh yeah.
Almiron, yes, you said he's started to slow down a bit, but I think it's going to be really interesting between him and Jack Grealish at the weekend.
Oh yes, sir, because that I remember that. Yes.
Yeah,
I think they'll have a big cuddle and kiss, probably.
Yeah, that all played up for the media and the fans.
Oh yeah.
They're all sat there texting each other on the slide, going, "We're seeing this lot here."
But yeah, you've got to get St. Maximin into the game.
Yep.
He's probably one of your best players, and he's been off the ball for a while. But I think if you can get him into this game, I think he's the player for me that can make a difference on the day.
Well, he destroyed Kyle Walker in that first game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Big time.
I don't think Kyle Walker plays them.
Do you not? I think he'll have to because of his pace against him.
A little bit recon.
Rico's quick.
Hey?
Rico's quick.
Rico this year has stopped Salah.
Yeah.
So I think he's quite capable of stopping ASM.
I think Akanji will play as well because he's very quick.
That bloody
I think we'll have Rico and Akanji, probably Ake and Diaz.
Well, I'm hoping Stones is back in.
I don't think he will, but I think he'll be on the bench, mate. To be fair, he's only just come back from injury.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Ake and Diaz, and then you're looking at probably Walker or Rico, and then Ake. You know,
I honestly, I think it'll be a back. I think it'll be Rico, Diaz, Ake, and Stones, and then Lewis will move into mid and do his invertedness.
Well, we'll see. It's going to be a tough game because Newcastle are a good side now. They're not the Newcastle of old. Let's be honest, they're not.
No, and I understand that, but we're in a title fight.
Yeah.
And this is, for me, we have to win. We've got to close that gap up.
Yeah, we do have to win.
At the end of the day, Alan, these are the games you've got to win. We can't keep going in favoring the opponents. You want to win the title, these are the games you win. And that's nothing against Newcastle or anything. You've got to win your home games. This year, we've been very good at home, bar probably one result, maybe two. You throw in the Everton game. But other than that, we've been quite prolific at home.
Yeah, we've got to make sure we do have to win. You're right there, absolutely.
And I honestly think, I think we're coming into a good bit of form as well. I think we're finally getting our rhythm going.
Well, we've got Foden back now properly, even though he's played previously. We've got him back fit, which he looks fit now, and he was. Hopefully, that performance midweek it will give him a lot of confidence.
What do you want to see different from obviously the cup game that you played against United? Because I didn't watch the match myself. I was working, but what do you want to see from Newcastle? What things do you think they need to change from that game?
Yeah, we need to start try and create ourselves more opportunities. Because I mentioned it before, we're trying to walk the ball at the net, and it's not working. We're not setting ourselves up to create so many opportunities for ourselves. If we know we can have a chance at goal, go for it. That's the thing, because playing this walking at the net is why we've not been picking up the results we have been.
We have a habit of doing that as well. We have a habit of doing that as well, Pete. Trust us.
Yeah.
We do. Yeah.
But I think City have got the quality to do that in a way as well. But we're doing it too many times and it's not working.
Alex gone 4-0. Haaland 2, KDB, Foden. I want to see Grealish, Haaland, Foden as a front three. Adam Quinn's gone 5-1. Haaland, hat-trick, Foden, Grealish. Need to win to put themselves on the front. This is what intrigues me, though. Newcastle, is this a free hit for you, Pete, or is this a result you need to get your rhythm back? Because I've heard some Newcastle fans say it's a bit of a free hit. They're not expecting anything.
Yeah, I think
other Newcastle fans say they need to get something to get the rhythm back.
I mean, it'd be great. I mean, I would take a point down there, but it's going to be hard because our record down at the Etihad is poor. It's so poor in the Premier League, and that's the thing. So I would say it is more of a free hit.
You need to get a result, Pete. You need to get a result because if Tottenham win, they go miles in front of you. So you cannot afford.
That's the thing. But we have got 2 games in hand on them.
I love Alan.
As well.
Alan's just like, which corner is
Hang on, mate, it's true. It's true. Look at the league table.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't pick anything up from the game or from City, you've got Wolves and Nottingham, haven't you?
Yeah, those are ones we should be getting the 3 points out of them ones.
Where's the Nottingham game at?
That's on
away, isn't it?
Is it away or home? Is what I mean.
It's away. That's on the 17th, so that's away. We play them at home.
If you were at home, I'd say yeah, but being away, they're a lot tougher down there.
Yeah, but the games we should be winning.
It's the home games that'll keep Nottingham
that's
Forest
the main thing.
It's the home form that'll keep Forest in the league this year. It is, but like you said, I honestly think you'll make top 6. 100%. I think you'll make top 6, and then
you'll be there next season, Martin. The way you're dressing,
yeah, still more than you with your remote control. Anyway, but no, I honestly think you'll make the top 6, and then it's how you adjust to Thursday, Sundays.
Yep.
Because that'll be the next step then.
Yeah,
playing every Thursday going into Sunday, because at the minute you've got a free hit in between the week.
Yep.
And obviously what you do in the summertime. Right, we'll go around, we'll get score predictions. You don't have to give me a score, but if you think win, draw, loss. Unless anyone wants to.
Martin, this new Geordie rapper thing you're channeling, is it? You want to be the new anthem?
Enough of that crap. Have you finished now?
Yeah.
Right. No, in fact, look.
He's lost. He's gone, and he's gone. We've got him. We've got him.
He wants to go right. I'll just step in, Ozzy. He wants to go around and get your feeling about what's actually going to happen. Not an actual score prediction, but just how you think the game's going to go.
Just a feeling how it'll go. All right. So I am with kind of you, Rich. I think it's going to be a tighter game than I think most City fans would like. I think it's like it'll be a win, but it'll be like a 2-1. Yeah, I think it'll be very close. Alan?
Well, just noticed Martin's changed my name to I Hate MCFC, so I'll go a 5-0 win to Newcastle. So, no, I think it'll be 2-1.
Oh, yeah, you'll be texting me when we're 4-0 up. I'm worried here, we need a 5th.
Yeah, I know. No, I think it'll be tight, very tight. So I'll go for a win, but it'll be very, very tight. We're close.
Okay. Rich?
I'm going to go 1-0 City. I think it'll be a very tight game, but I do think Phil's back, and I think Phil back in front of the City fans. I think the City fans, will be quite fired up for this one. So I think Phil's going to get a goal and just edge it for us.
I'm presuming this guy's a Newcastle fan, XYZ, because he's put 1-0 to Newcastle. I heard someone on your channel said 5-0 Newcastle earlier, Pete.
That was probably Andy. No, he put 7-0. I'm thinking, bloody hell.
Right, what the hell? Who do you think you're playing at, Clinton Stanley? Right,
Andy, he's just so optimistic, Andy.
Big Morgan's gone 3-1. I think 3-1. I think we'll win the game 3-1. I'm afraid we're drawing this 0-0. I think City will win this. I think City have to win this to get back in to put pressure on Arsenal. I honestly think we're going to go on a bit of a run now. I think we're going to start our little run, what we always do, which probably means we'll get beat on Saturday.
Yeah, thanks, Martin. You've just jinxed us. It's what I really didn't want to hear either. Go on, Pete. What's your score prediction?
I think it's going to be tight, but I think you'll just have this. So I'm going to say 2-1 to City. But
thank you very much, Ed. Appreciate that, mate. He's gone 2-0. Adam's gone 2-1. Interesting. Yeah, we will be live with the post-match on that anyway. Pete, if you want to come back on for the post-match, more than welcome, mate.
Yeah, later on.
Saturday evening.
Yeah.
Oh no, it was I like coffee who predicted 5-0.
That's I thought it was. See.
But I think he's had too much coffee. He said, "Oh yeah, he did." He said, he said, "Yeah." He said Jacob Murphy hat-trick, and I forgot who he said was the other two. But...
No. Sadly, I just think City are starting to hit the strides.
Yeah.
At the moment, I think we're clicking now when it comes to the formation. We're clicking when it comes to certain players are coming into form. And I think it's all come at the right time. I think they've realised now transfer window's over. They've got a knuckle-down goal for the rest of the season. And then people who want out can sort that out in the summertime. And we'll come back to that in the summer. Right, we're going to move on to topic 2. Pete, if you want to stay around, you're more than welcome, mate.
Yeah, I could stay for a bit longer, yeah.
Rich, you wanted to talk about this, about the Premier League getting a lot more stronger, or probably stronger than it's ever been before. Go on,
yeah,
then,
I think it's yeah, I think it's more how the Premier League is increasingly becoming the Super League. In reality, the Super League now is just Europe's attempt to break the power and the money of the Premier League. And the interesting thing is, if the Premier League sticks together, that power is only growing, and the quality of the players and the managers playing in England is only growing. The only question is whether Juventus and Madrid and Barcelona can use the greed of individual clubs to actually break the power of the Premier League, and probably make most of the English clubs a lot poorer for it. But what it's manifesting itself out is, not just in the fact that, a few years ago, people used to talk about a big 4, then it became a big 6. I think most people now, put Newcastle with the big 6 and, call it a big 7. But you've also got teams like Brighton for one, and other clubs who, wouldn't be considered big 7, but have built a level of consistency and ability to buy players that's actually made them much, much stronger. So I think for me, the big challenge, and this is very exciting for the Premier League, but hard for City, for Newcastle, for United and everyone else, is that if you do end up with a league with 7, 8 really strong teams competing for the money of the Champions League, which is only going to go to 4, then it's a massive challenge, and you're going to have this year most likely I think probably City, Arsenal and United will get top 4 now, but then you've got Newcastle, Tottenham, Liverpool, Chelsea, possibly Brighton. Only one of those teams can get in the Champions League. So you're going to have, a number of very big, wealthy, powerful teams who aren't going to have that Champions League money. What's that going to do for the, the way clubs manage their finances if they no longer, feel they can count on the 100 million for the Champions Leagues every year because it's going to be so hard to get in? And what does that mean for success versus failure? Because actually, if coming 6th becomes far harder than coming 3rd used to be, does that change people's realistic expectations? And is it going to mean far more close games, far more hard games, and therefore start to bring down the number of points it takes to win the Premier League back down, more into the high 80s or something more akin to the long-term averages? I think it's, and will it force a lot more investment from clubs like City who've maybe taken their foot off the pedal with, negative net spend the last couple of years? Is it going to suddenly force that spending back up because you have to improve year on year, not even just stay where you are to stay level? So I think it's some quite exciting times, but I think there's some quite big implications by the money, especially Newcastle and Chelsea have kind of, or Chelsea have reintroduced, and Newcastle have brought in a new strength. Tottenham, the new ground, are haven't really cracked it yet, but are starting to spend more and are going to have more money, and Arsenal as well. So I think it's 7 for 4 at the moment, maybe even 8 for 4, because I think Brighton do deserve to start being talked about as a top 7, top 8 team more consistently now.
I just need to read this out 1 second. Leon MCFC, thank you, mate. Let's beat the oil one of his fake club, no fans. He's smiling, so he's not meaning that in there. It's just a bit of banter there. But thank you, Leon, for the super chat. Go on then, lads. Who wants to kick that one off?
Yeah, well, I just thought that Rich is absolutely spot on what he's saying, but this is also the reason why the cartel are piping their nose in at everything with money, because they want their Champions League money, and it's now harder for them to get in. Hence why they're starting investigations and paper reports are coming in, but racist comments are coming into the papers when the Premier League say every week that there's no place for racism in football, when they completely do the opposite with the media. So I just think that the more teams that are stronger in the Premier League, which they are, Rich is spot on. I just think the more that the old guard will pipe up and cause trouble and try and put new rules in, and that's dangerous.
Yeah, I think there's no denying that the Premier League is the Super League. With the amount of money that has been spent, I mean, we only have to look at in January what Chelsea spent, and compared to the rest of Europe, and the same back in the summer as well. The Premier League clubs like Nottingham have outspent all the other European teams combined. So when you're looking at that kind of wealth in the Premier League, and then our European neighbours just looking and going, we can't compete with this. We've got to do something. And the Super League has come back around again. A German company is coming and trying to rebrand it and relaunch it. But I think the problem for the likes of Real Madrid, Barcelona, Juventus, and a few others is that unless they can get the Premier League clubs on board, it ain't going to work. Do you know what I mean? Because, the biggest TV revenue is the Premier League, and global fan bases are going to want to see, United against Real Madrid, Man City against Barcelona.
Aussie, the Super League, what they're trying to do is to replace the Champions League. It's not to replace their Serie A or La Liga or anything like that.
But it would do, Alan. That's the problem. It would do.
But listen, mate, that's what they're trying to do, because they're not getting enough money off UEFA. That is the whole argument. So, and I personally think, as much as I don't want it to happen, I think it will happen, because money dictates what happens in football.
The thing is, Alan, is that you're right. I mean, it is that some of the European clubs are not getting as much of the share as the pie for the Champions League as they'd like, but it's also about TV revenue. You only have to look at TV revenue compared to the Premier League, to the rest of every other league. Yeah. They don't come close to what they're getting the TV rights are being paid.
I'll say the money for TV revenue is made 90% of it from overseas, away from the UK. Right, especially the Middle East, over where I am now in Melbourne, in Australia, in the US. It's made. That's where the money comes from. Okay, we can dress it up the way we want. That's where the money comes. And trust me, they will watch the Super League. As much as we don't want it to happen, they will watch the Barcelonas, the Real Madrids, the Juventuses, and other big clubs around Europe. They will watch it, no matter whether Britain gets this attitude of closed shop type scenario. It will happen, and eventually.
Do you not think that what might end up happening is in effect two Super Leagues, one the Premier League and one a European League? And in a few years, the biggest game will be the final between the winner of the Premier League and the winner of the European Super League, and I can see it going that way. I mean, the Premier League clubs will be absolutely stupid to break ranks and go, because they are. The Premier League is such a powerful position, and it's because it's collective. It's because the bottom team in the Premier League is now, I think, in the top 35 richest clubs in Europe, because the Premier League money's evenly spread. And that's, to be honest, why we're talking about a big 7 or 8, not a big 1 or a big 1, big 2, most European leagues. You know, and we are talking about, to win the Premier League is not easy. And even though City have won 4 of the last 5, only one of them was easy. Three, a chunk of those leagues could have actually no, two I suppose were easy, and two could have one decision, one inch in the case of one of the seasons could have been the difference between second and first. So I think it's they've got to stick together, and I think the other thing is that the cartel are trying to attack on the money, but I think they're going, and I think this is one of the reasons the government wants to get involved, because money counts, and the reality is that for just Saudi Arabia and the UAE alone have several 100 billion invested in the UK, have tens and tens of thousands of jobs in the UK, hundreds of projects dependent on money coming in from the Middle East, and 35 billion of UK exports goes to the UAE and Saudi Arabia, which is in itself hundreds of thousands of jobs. So these are, and whether we like it or not, the fact is that City's chair is also the CEO of the UAE Sovereign Wealth Fund, which has, $250 billion, dollars under its control. And I think there's a court case going on in the US at the moment where the PGA has named, I think, one of Newcastle's chairs or owners as a member of the Saudi government, even though supposedly it's nothing to do with the Saudi government. So
don't say that, Rich. They'll get in trouble.
No, this is between PGA and Live in the US. It's it's a matter of the US courts, that the US court, the PGA have the defence, by Live has been that the person, one of Newcastle's board members, is immune from being named in the suit because they're a member of the Saudi government, whereas in the Premier League they're not. So we've got these connections, but these connections are worth hundreds of thousands of jobs and, tens of billions of pounds to the UK every year, which means that, there's going to be, there's conversations going on at prime ministerial level about some of the attacks in football, because ultimately, effectively the Premier League, it appears, have accused one of the individuals who controls more money than anyone else on this planet and invests more money in the UK than nearly anyone else on the planet of, committing long-term fraud, it would appear. And at some point, the chickens are going to come home to roost. The question is whether the Premier League's just done it to damage the reputation, and when it comes down to actually refuting or producing evidence, it's going to be a bit of a damp squib. But still, these are huge questions going on in the game, and it's strange because football's not what it, 25 years ago you wouldn't have even been thinking about that. It would have been a TV shop, rental owner against a local businessman, and we'd have been talking about the players and the football. But now it's such a big sport. It's about super leagues, it's about accounting, it's about all the things it never used to be.
I want to grab Pete's opinion on that. Please, if you can hit that subscribe button and hit the like button, that'd be amazing. Help your channel grow, that'd be great. The more interaction, the more the channel grows. Thank you. Pete, what do you think? Because obviously Newcastle will now be involved in this conversation moving forward. What are you thinking
about this Super League?
Well, Super League, the idea of, is the Premier League getting too big? Is it becoming...
I mean, I hope we don't bring this Super League thing, because it's just a money-making kind of scheme. They don't think about the fans. It's just... The problem with football a lot of the days now, it's about money. That's the thing now. So
it's a business.
It's a business. Yep, it is.
Whatever you might say, I know people hate that word, but it is a business.
It is. Yep, I agree. It's a business now more than a sport because of the money. But I mean, we don't want this Super League in at all. I mean, again, it's just a money making scheme. That's like fans just suffer at the suffer
It would kill the
come the
spirit
end
of
of the day.
football.
Yeah, it would. So
It'd
you
kill
can't.
it.
Fans can't afford to go probably to games abroad every single time, can they?
No.
Absolutely
No.
not. So that's why it should all be gone and forgotten about, and they should never go on about mentioning it ever
Because
again.
we won't be able to.
We want to play the teams with, that
Yep.
we have history with. You want to play the teams you were playing as a kid. You want to, I want to play Newcastle and Leeds and, Liverpool and Tottenham. And I want to play the teams that, you grew up watching, and you want those rivalries to stay. The idea that some of those clubs could go and then your average game becomes, because the whole excitement of playing Real Madrid is because you play them once every 5-8 years, and even then it's only exciting when it's in the last 8. The group stage and early Champions League is dull as dishwater. So you want to be playing the clubs where you can go, where you go to the games. The fans have got 50 years of history, 100 years of history, 150 years of history playing each other. Where you're trying to get revenge for a goal that Alan Shearer scored 10 seconds into a game against Carlo Nash.
But like I said,
it still irritates me.
Rich, like I said, the Super League is to replace the Champions League. It's not a league. It's a.
I think you need to come away from that idea, Alan, because you're being.
It's true. It's true.
No, Alan,
it's true, but it'll have a lot more big games, and it will devalue.
I understand what you're saying, but you're being a little bit naive in the kindest way, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way.
No, right,
the Premier League would not allow us to do that.
And the UEFA would kick the clubs out of their domestic league.
UEFA would kick people out. It's not just swap one for another. There's no way, because you are looking at another 30, 40 games on top in a Super League.
Yeah. And
well,
Alan,
no way you can play 38 games.
All right. Martin, if it kicks off the Super League, which I think it will eventually, okay, I think it will, and there's no English teams in it, then there's no Champions League. So we just play the Premier League and that's it.
But at the end of the day, Alan, you've got to remember what this is being used for. This is not being used for the Premier League. This is being used for La Liga because they've got very silly financial rules where it's basically...
it's been used to try and break the Premier League, I think. I think it's been used to try and break the Premier League.
Yes, it has. But
we all know
it's been done to help La Liga, to help Serie A, where their money is not shared out equally. The bottom team doesn't get 200-300 million. The top team doesn't even get 200-300 million in La Liga or the money. Guillaume Balaguer was having this big debate with Carragher. What is so annoying from La Liga's point of view, and we'll bring Vader in on this, is that what's happened is Real Madrid and Barcelona have tried to monopolize it for 15, 20 years, trying to buy everyone in the market, have all the money, have all the glory and everything else. And then what's happened is everyone's left La Liga, come to the Premier League, and they're now going, hang on a minute, we can't compete with the Premier League. Well, I'm sorry, the Premier League couldn't compete with you 15 years ago. You weren't complaining about it then when you were buying Figo and Ronaldo and David Beckham and Jonathan Woodgate and Michael Owen. It was great for all our superstars to disappear over there, but now the shoe's on the other foot. You're crying bloody murder.
And it's because there's 6, maybe 8 big games in La Liga a season. In the Premier League, there's a big game nearly every week. Nearly every week,
total hypocrisy
there's a big game
from La Liga. Senor Tabas, it's total hypocrisy from him.
Well, of course it is.
That's... So the thing that's where this is all kind of stemmed from is because, for example, La Liga in particular, they didn't make it a point to really promote everyone within that league. It was clear. It's Real Madrid and Barcelona, year after year after year. All they did was promote El Clasico. All that they did was promote was those two clubs. So over time, all of them, and from what I understand, from what I believe, the way money got funneled in, and it wasn't a true pyramid. It really went to those particular clubs. So over time, then it's distorted. Then there's no parity. Then there's no true competition within that league. Myself, out here in Toronto, I love the Premier League because of the very opposite reason to that. You could literally sit down and watch and be surprised by the result. There's no guarantee. There's no, oh, this club is definitely winning. And over time, that's why it is such a loved league, because of the competition. And when you now look at how it's now been loved, how it's the most watched, how, again, sponsors, investors are coming to this league for that very reason, it's now displaced the whole, I guess, football ecosystem. And they're trying to hold on to the legacy that they've had over the years, but how they've managed themselves, it's now slipping away. This Super League, in my opinion, it's kind of like the which evil is worse, Champions League or Super League? Which one's going to absorb the other? I think it's just the newest iteration. I'm not young enough to know what was around before the Champions League, but I'm sure at the time of the introduction of the Champions League, there was a lot of pushback in saying that this is going to be bad for the sport.
There was pushback when the Premier League got brought in '92, mate. So
Yeah. That's right.
there was pushback on that, but that came from Liverpool. But that came from the exact same reason that Real Madrid and Barcelona are doing it now, because they wanted the top teams to get the top amount of money. It's always been about money. Always been about money.
And again, it's got to be about competition. And the first introduction of the Super League was terrible because it was going to be a closed shop. There was no jeopardy with how you managed your club or how you competed to be able to fall out of the guaranteed money that would be coming year after year because of you being part of the league. That was a terrible idea. The jeopardy that happens within the league, within the Champions League, is the model that I think most of us want to remain. They're going to continue. Think of this Super League like the Matrix. And we've all seen the Matrix where there's version 1, version 2, version 3. There's going to be a new iteration of this Super League to better appease fans and better fit within the
I don't think it'll ever appease fans better.
Might not be. It might be doing it.
I have spoken to some massive Blues who go home and away all over the world, and they have point blank said to me they will not touch City going into the Super League.
I think that's fair, based off of what the Super League currently means. Because if it was just an absorption of the Champions League with a few tweaks, then there's probably going to be better acceptance. No, I know, and that's why I say it's going to be like the Matrix. They're going to come out with version 2.3, the version 3, version 4, until they get to something where it's going to be an agreement. But I pray that the Premier League stick together, that the FA and actually English football stick together and realize the power that they have, the influence that they have, and don't try to branch off. Because if you are divided, then it's going to be a crap.
Well, the Premier League's becoming more divided every single day of the week, with the old guard of the cartel, as I call the Red Cartel and Tottenham, right, are now still trying to invent rules to stop new challengers, i.e. City, Chelsea.
Yeah, I mean, the worst rule of the lot, and, is even the related party rule was based on actual accounting standards. The rule they tried to introduce I think they have introduced for Newcastle, which I think only City and Newcastle voted against, was actually inventing this whole new concept of associated, sponsors. So they can't even rely on what is clear legal definitions of related parties. So they now want to create this associated. Now, I'm not sure whether associated means that, we should start looking at American-owned clubs with American sponsors. And this is what I hate about it all. To be honest with you, even though we've probably benefited more than anyone else, I'd be quite happy to see a lot more evenness in salaries and wages between the teams. I'd be quite happy seeing, Brighton and West Ham given a fair crack against City and Liverpool financially. What I'm not happy about is that a club like Arsenal, whose owner lives on a ranch that has hundreds of oil wells on it, he's an oil man, whose club is sponsored by an airline which is backed by oil money, whose ground is sponsored and paid for by oil money, that fans of a club like that can, call Newcastle or City oil clubs when you can't get much more oil than is in Arsenal. And you'll see it with United. They're about to be possibly taken over either by oil money or by chemical money, because let's be honest, Jim Radcliffe is a billionaire because of petrochemicals, but you'll never hear Jim Radcliffe being called the chemical man or the oil man. And it does seem that oil,
Richard, you are right.
Oil, if it's owned by a non-Anglo-Saxon person, if it's owned by an Anglo-Saxon person, it's not oil. It's legitimate, honest, come by money from plucky, hard-working fellows. And it's that level of hypocrisy that I can't stand. And the idea
anti-Muslim, mate. It's anti-Muslim.
Yeah, the Glazers have taken, what is it, 2 billion out of Manchester now. They've let Old Trafford rot. They've invested nothing in the area. They've potentially taken billions out of the city of Manchester, whereas City's owners have now actually invested billions in Manchester, in housing, in building entertainment complexes, in fixing up old chemical plants and everything that they've done. And how one of those can be, bad for football, even though it's good for Manchester and good for everything else, and the other is somehow okay. I mean, even Gary Neville, he doesn't get involved in, slagging off City's money because he knows what it's done for Manchester. So it just does my head in a bit that we still have the clubs and the media who will paint something as bad purely because of the colour of skin and religion of the person doing it. And I'm not going to sit and say that everything that the UAE government does or the Saudi government does or the Qatar government does is good, but nor am I going to turn around and say that everything the American government does, the British government does is good, because they all do terrible things. And the reality is we and the US and governments have done far more damage than any of the Middle Eastern governments have overall, in recent times. So we just got to be, I think I would be happy for rules to change. I'd be happy for salaries to be capped in a way, but it has to be in a way that is fair to 20 clubs in the Premier League, not, a battle between, a cartel trying to fix rules so that they're always good, or, a group who have, like City, Newcastle, have so much money that we can spend in a way that, at least 15 clubs in the Premier League couldn't compete with. So if we want to make football fair, let's do something that is fair, but let's not try and make it a fixed cartel based on, and use prejudice to pretend that you're being financially fair. And then this whole idea of cheating, nothing that has been done has broken a single law. Nothing has broken any rule that wasn't a rule put in by the cartel to try and fix football. So this idea that suddenly becomes cheating or anything like that is it's just crazy. It's just absolutely crazy.
Totally agree with you.
Yeah. And that's the hypocrisy I hate.
Yeah. I mean, the thing for me is that, I struggle to see the benefit to the Premier League clubs. Okay, I struggle to see the incentive to join a Super League, because the Premier League, like I said before, makes more money, through TV revenue, through all the sponsorship that they get. And you look at what has happened in the other leagues, the Bundesliga, where it's Bayern Munich every season, the Spanish league, where it's either Real Madrid or Barcelona or Atletico on the odd occasion. The Italian league, where it's mainly Juventus. So for me, our league is so special that, like we said before, any team on any given day can beat the other. And that's what makes the Premier League so exciting to watch. Okay, that you've got these brilliant rivalries between teams, that you've got the teams that can beat the from the bottom half to the top half, that these results can happen. And that's what makes it so exciting. And I think, like I said before, I think the thing that's killed off the other leagues is that they put all their money in one basket, where it's Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, PSG. And those leagues have just deteriorated to the point where only their fans watch them now. You know, the rest of the world isn't that interested. You know, they may tune in for the odd Classico, but for the rest of the world, it's the Premier League. They're going to watch day in, day out. And I think that is why you're getting so much fight from the other leagues trying to scramble around to try and figure out something they can do to compete with the Premier League. And it's just not going to happen.
Ozzy, I personally think that Rich is hitting the nail on the head. There will be 2 leagues in the next 10 years, and there'll be the Super League and there'll be the Premier League, and they'll be battling for TV rights, and that's exactly what is going to happen.
The problem is, though,
and I just hope for the Premier League's sake, none of the Premier League clubs pike it and go into the.
I'll give you a scenario. If we get relegated to the Championship or 2 divisions, and City get offered to go to the Super League instead, what do you think they're going to do? And remember, it's businessmen that are running City, not the fans.
Well, I'm not sure we're going to get.
I think the
Wrexham that might happen.
Yeah, I can't wait for Wrexham in Division 2. I think that's Disney.
I'm coming with you.
Know, Ryan Reynolds will be having about 50 mates over for that one.
Sorry about that, gentlemen.
I think now, 11 of the 20th richest clubs in world football are in the Premier League. So now the Premier League is as powerful as Europe. I mean, obviously the likes of Newcastle, but the likes of West Ham and Everton and Leeds, Leicester, they're all in the top 20 richest clubs. So there's a huge amount of money and power, and it seems to be getting more so because every year more players and more managers come to the Premier League, and that makes it stronger. Maybe we'll actually have Barcelona and Madrid asking to come and play in the Premier League, and they'll be I mean that's one possibility that happens, is that someone does do that.
What do you think, Pete? What do you think, Pete?
Again, I don't agree with the Super League at all.
Right.
Alan wants the Super League. Can you not tell? He's desperate for the damn thing.
No, it's not. I don't want it, mate. But what I'm making this conversation.
Alan doesn't like fans.
No. Listen. I'm making a conversation that these questions need to be asked about alternatives and what can happen, right? Because as much as the fans want the Premier League, unfortunately, the fans don't run the Premier League. It's businessmen, right? So I'm trying to put another viewpoint to create the conversation and understand.
Yeah, I get that, mate.
I'm trying to be the dark sheep in the crowd here, but these questions need to be asked.
I'm with you. I'm with you, Alan.
And also, there is a cartel inside the Premier League that people seem to forget that are splitting the Premier League. The more teams like City and Newcastle and Chelsea come into it with money, right, the more the cartel are going to create rules, and it will cause a war inside the Premier League, which it will.
Alan wants the derby in Sydney.
Alan, it'll create.
I don't want it in Sydney. I want it in Melbourne, please. In Melbourne,
the war will be far bigger than the Premier League because
I don't want it in Sydney.
The Super League will have to be controlled by FIFA or UEFA, because if it isn't, they're going to ban the players from international football. They're going to ban the players from the leagues, and football will be 100% split down the middle. It will break the game in two, and it will be bigger than just the
Super City's got a point, Rich. Newcastle wouldn't actually get in the Super League as it stands right now. That's how unfair it is.
Well, if it's promotion and relegation, that may change, but promotion and relegation isn't going to happen unless UEFA run it.
It'll never happen, because you've got this. You can't have the Premier League and then have promotion relegation in a Super League as well. It just you couldn't have it. You'd just kill the game off. You'd kill the fans. Attendances would drop.
I agree.
You'd end up with all the day trippers. It just
The other thing as well is that at the moment it is just three teams. The likes of Juventus,
Yeah.
Real Madrid and Barcelona. PSG are not
Wonder why?
interested. Well, no, PSG are not interested because of obviously they're linked with the Champions League. Bayern Munich are not interested because, again, they just don't want to upset their fans because they've got found majority, vote in their clubs.
Spot on.
So at the moment, you've got three big clubs, which, big clubs, but what, are they going to play each other all the time? I mean, that's just going to be boring as hell. So
here's a question for you, Ozzy. What happens if PSG approached the Premier League and asked to join the Premier League? Do you think the Premier League would sacrifice Bournemouth to allow PSG to come in?
I'm sure PSG would love to be playing in the Premier League because at the moment they just.
I'm asking that question. Could something like that happen? Could the Premier League try and?
If my auntie had wheels, should be a bike.
No, she wouldn't. It should be a car. Anyway.
No,
get in! Go on! There we go.
It's none of it's going to happen. PSG to the Premier League.
No, but I'm saying these are things that it happened with Celtic and Rangers.
And they've never come in.
They haven't because Bournemouth are pretty much, probably as commercially big for the Premier League as them because of the drop in Scottish football. If Scottish football was as good as it was 20 years ago, I bet you it would have happened. If this was the era of Dalglish and Hansen and everything else, I bet you that would have happened. They'd have joined the Premier League. And
anyway, Rich, I know you have to go in a minute.
I do actually, yeah.
Very swiftly.
I'm after
our final topic. Manchester City have been drawn against Burnley in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. Vinny Kompany's coming back for his second testimonial game. Going to start with you, Vader. Well, we'll start with Rich because he has to shoot.
Yeah, so I'll better go. But no, I think
Rich, just give us your thoughts before you shoot.
Yeah, I think it's very exciting. Actually, hopefully we'll see Bellis playing, and I think has a manager ever come back to City with a team where the manager's more loved by the City fans than Vinny is? I think it will be. He's going to get. Sorry,
Wigan with Uwe.
And the Beatles.
Yeah, Uwe possibly. That's as close as you'll get. But even then, Uwe was more a cult hero, whereas he's a real cult hero. Whereas Vinny's been there and won us leagues and been captain of the club for many years. So
I think not slag off the bomber.
I think it's going to be
Uwe, lad.
No one can do that. I think it's going to be really exciting. I was really glad to see that. I love Vincent Kompany. I don't love Burnley, so it's going to be an odd one because I'm really not a fan of Burnley. But I think Vinny, hopefully he comes. Hopefully he gives it a good go, and we have a really good game. Vinny does himself proud, but we beat them, and give him a standing ovation as he walks off, having lost 2-0. That would do me. But I better say good evening to everyone and get on with the school run and work, etc.
Yeah. Take care, Rich. Thanks for joining us,
Cheers,
mate.
Thanks for joining us.
Take care,
Great to have a Newcastle perspective. Much appreciated.
Yeah,
very much.
Is a legend. Vader. Vincent Kompany's coming home.
I hated the draw.
Ooh.
I wanted to avoid Pep's coaching tree as long as possible. I didn't want to have to face him. He's crushing it, absolutely crushing it, and I would have liked one more round, if we could. But it's going to be great. It's going to be great because he is a legend. He has been incredible. His stint at City, absolutely amazing, and his moments are incredible. So great to have him back. A little bittersweet because obviously we want this win. But the football that they're playing is going to be an interesting challenge, and I think it's also going to be probably a good draw in the sense that Pep's not going to want to lose to anyone within his coaching tree, right? It's going to be so players are going to be dialed up, and the fact that many players that are currently at City have played with company is going to be added motivation. It's the narrative and the talking points. It's going to be incredible. I look forward to it. But yeah, I would have preferred not to have faced them just yet.
Pete, have you kept my seat warm at Wembley, mate?
I was up in the gods, just to let you know.
Oh no, I don't do the gods, mate. I'm at a goal level 1 behind the goal. Forget that. I don't do god stuff. I'd rather watch it at home than sit up there.
Oh, I don't mind. That was my first ever
I've done
trip
it
to
once. I did it for the Villa Cup final. Nah, never again. Never again am I going up there. I'm not a hype person. No, wasn't for me.
He's only 5'5".
You know, what do you mean? I know you're sort of out and it's hard for you to sort, but do you think, is this an FA Cup story written all over it? Former league captain comes back, knocks us out the FA Cup.
Oh.
Is this what the FA Cup's all about?
Yeah, I mean, I think you'll give him a great reception, though, Vincent Kompany, considering what he did for your side as well. He was a brilliant player, was a leader by example as well. I mean, this is going to be some game. I really believe it's going to be some game.
Oh yeah, big time.
And
yeah,
you've got to give Vincent Kompany a really good warm reception.
I think when I smiled when I heard the draw, and I was sat over here in Melbourne when I heard it, I was like, oh my. And do you know what brings back to what brought back to me is when Kevin Keegan went back to St James's City manager, and there was more made out of that as he was walking out the tunnel.
Yes,
the reception he got at St James's, it was enormous. Yeah, and Kevin Keegan deserved that for what he did for Newcastle.
Yeah,
and I'm going to put Vincent up there with that because what he did. Vincent Kompany is to me, he's still our captain. He's still our leader. And he doesn't just lead the team, he leads the club and the fans. And to me, he's still that. And that's why I think this game, he's smashing the championship. They're coming up. There's no question about it, right? And they're playing good football. And,
lost 2 games, by the way. Lost 2 games all season.
No, mate, to me, he's also potentially, when Pep decides to go, which he will do one day, and potentially he's going to be City's next manager. Potentially.
Too early.
It's not going to happen yet, is it? I'm saying potentially he could be our next manager. And
sounds like a bit of Gerrard in my.
I know that's fantasy and it's a lovely little story, but come on.
Mate, well,
we ain't Manchester City from 20 years ago, Alan.
Mate,
bringing a rookie manager like that just because it's got a lovely romance at the end.
Well, he's not rookie now anymore, is he?
So you would put Kompany over Arteta?
Well, Arteta will never leave Arsenal.
Have you spoke to him?
He's never leaving Arsenal, mate. No chance. Not a chance.
I know, but it's like this. I don't see this.
No, hold on, Martin. If Kompany continues to show and evolve the way he is, because Martin's not saying is immediately Pep leaves in 2 years, it's going to be Kompany because stars need to align. But eventually, we could see Kompany with this continued success he could be a City manager.
I'd rather him come in as an assistant for a couple of years.
I would also rather him not follow Pep. I don't want him to follow Pep.
Oh, I'm not shutting the door to one day in being a manager.
Okay,
that's what I That's what I said to you.
No, you were talking success in Pep.
No, I didn't. I said one day he will be our future manager, and I seriously think he will.
Bloody hell, Alan. One day I might be a millionaire.
Right, when this is finished, replay it and listen to what I said.
No, but even Ozzy thought you meant company next in the door because that's the way it came across.
Well, mate,
Ozzy, am I right? Am I wrong?
I'm fortunate enough to have met.
Just sit back and relax, Pete. Just sit back. This happens at times.
I'm fortunate.
Hey, Pete knows what you were.
I was fortunate to meet Vincent Kompany once, right? And I had lunch with him, right? And I'll tell you straight now, that guy has got, when he walked in the training ground at the CFA and I was sat there, it was like a parting of the ways. The aura that guy has around that club is enormous. Enormous.
I mean, Vincent Kompany, I agree with everything that Alan has said. You know, it still feels like he's our club captain. It still feels like, you know, he's just the heart and soul of City in some respects at times.
Yeah.
And to see him come back is just going to be immense. Do you know what I mean? It really will be. But I think we have to be very careful because, you know, there is a certain Mr. Steven Gerrard who was doing very well in the Scottish League, came down and managed Villa, and it all went terribly wrong.
Frank Lampard.
Yeah.
We've all got these Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We've all got these little romance stories.
Yeah. And it's rare that they ever happen. Do you know what I mean? I can't even think of one, if I'm honest. I mean, you could say Arteta in some respects, maybe, but
but the difference between Vinny and Steven Gerrard and Frank Lampard is one major thing. Oh, Jesus! But yeah,
the Elephant Man. I know I'm not a good looker.
Vincent has actually got a brain as well, which he has. He's a very intelligent person.
And Alan, I love the romance behind it. I get it. I love it.
I want Vinny. I really want Vinny. It's a no-brainer.
Do you know what I feel bad for? If it wasn't the quarter-final, I'd be like, yeah. But when it's the quarter-final, City get laser-focused. If it was at Burnley, I'd be like, yeah. But I just think City get the job done. I think all romance... Because listen, Pep and Vinny ain't going to sit there. They'll do all the bit beforehand. They'll do all the nice bottle of wine after. But when it comes to the game, we will go laser focused. And we will think we're one step from Wembley. And I think just go.
I agree with you. You know, I'd like to ask the people in the comments. I'm not saying straight away, but would you have Vincent Kompany as manager at City?
Well, people are already putting it. Some are saying yes, some are saying no.
Yeah, that's fine. But I'm not saying straight away. I'm saying in the future. Would you have?
I think it's just way too early. You know, he went to Anderlecht and didn't particularly do really that well. Especially in the first season he was there. He's actually, most of the fans wanted him gone. And then he's come to Burnley and he's done very well. But you have to look at the results. You know, they've drawn more games, than anything else. I mean, yes, they've had, obviously a lot more wins, but, 10 games drawn, So I still think in his managerial career, he's got a long way to go. I think if he brings Burnley up, it's looking like he's definitely going to do that. Brilliant. But then you got to see how he does in the Premier League, because that's the big boys. And no offense to the Championship, but when you hit the Premier League, that's parting the men from the boys. Yeah. All right. That's when we'll know how good he is in some respects.
Yeah.
It could be that they go straight back down. And then what are you going to say, Alan? Oh, you still want him then? Don't get me wrong. I think Vinny could be brilliant in the respects of, I think he's a team leader, as in I think he could manage players, but when it comes to tactics, it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah, do you know why I'm 100% with Ozzy on it? Not yet. Not saying never, but my point is, imagine he come after Burnley and we're all excited, we're all on this emotional, what happened with Solskjaer at United?
Yeah, true.
It was a lovely dream, and then by the end, he hounded the guy out. His legacy
at Chelsea.
Bang. Gerrard. Liverpool have got this lovely idea of Gerrard waltzing into Liverpool and taking him to the Champions League glory. It's a lovely story. But you know yourself, Alan, if Benny Company come in and we ended up 6th or 7th, it's a whole different playing field then at that point.
Yeah.
And he could ruin the legacy. And I don't want that. I don't want his career tainted. Yeah, I want to see more of him. I'm not saying never, but and with us, it's way too soon. He's had one good season with Burnley, 100%. He's got them playing beautiful football, which is why we have such a good chance with him. If Burnley were coming to play a flat back 8, like they normally do, I'd go, yeah, they've got a chance. They're going to come and play football. Anyone who plays football with us and our own patch, we go, thanks very much. And it's March. We're in the groove. So sadly, I think it'll be. I don't think it's going to be the normal 5-0 that we do. We always smash Burnley 5 or 6-0. We give them a good.
It won't be that.
I don't think it'll be that. I think it'll be a close game, and I think they'll score because they play some beautiful football. But you know yourself, if you look at this and Pete, I want to grab your thing on this. When you look at the last quarter, when you look at the last 8 teams in this FA Cup. Like Tottenham last night, do you not look back and think, if only we'd have bit harder? Because this last 8 is looking, other than City and United, because the bookies have got a City United final right now. If you can keep it all apart, they've got the ideal final.
Yeah.
Do you not think this like Tottenham? I look back at Tottenham and I think, their fans must be sick right now going out last night. And I don't mean that in disrespect to Sheffield United.
I was with 2 last night, and trust me, they were not happy.
No, but what I mean is, when have you ever seen an FA Cup this open going into the last 8?
Must have been a long time ago, because it's normally the bigger teams that always get this far. But in a way, I'm not surprised Spurs went out, in a way, because they're a hitty-missy side as well. It's like they'll win one game, but then they'll come up short in the next game. And I've seen that a lot of them, and I'm kind of not surprised they've got dumped out yesterday in a way as well. I think it's just a couple of players carry their team. I think the rest are average at best. Maybe
who was it who knocked you out, Pete? Who was it who got beat by?
Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah, I remember. Was that the one ASM didn't get on the bus for?
Yeah, because he reported it.
I only remember because I remember Baz putting it in the Twitter chat in the DM group.
Yeah.
Do you look back and think, I wish we'd have had more of a go?
We should have. But I think you look at the side he put out, and it just shows those players are not good enough for the club. The Cells, poor. Dubravka's been out the side, and it's not gone great in his loan spell at Man United. I was very disappointed with Armstrong. Jacob Murphy, terrible, not good enough. Chris Wood. I mean, if you're missing shots from about 6, what does that tell you? That our backup players aren't good enough. And Eddie, I wanted to see what he could do with them. And
I suppose.
It didn't work. It just shows they're not good enough for this club anymore. I
just look at it when I see Grimsby in the last 8 and you know what? This is what the FA Cup's about for me.
It is. And
when
again,
you see Grimsby Town in the last 8.
And again, I'm kind of not surprised Southampton are out. A very, very shocking side this season as well. So poor to watch.
They are, Pete.
One player. Yeah. And again, one player carries Southampton, and it's when he's banging the free kicks in. But other than that, Southampton are just all over the place.
They are. Sorry, go on, mate. Go on, Pete. Finish.
Yeah. Southampton, I think, are going to be going at come the end of the season as well.
Yeah, there's a few. They are. Is this the most open FA Cup you've seen? Are you like...
Yeah, this is. I mean, and if we're just going off recent memory, looking at what was taking place last season. It's looking a lot more promising. I think there's also going to be a lot more storylines to kind of emphasize this time around, because we all just witnessed the first trophy won and how much coverage and attention and celebration that took place. So that same club is in the mix for these upcoming rounds. So the drama is going to be there. I like you want us to continue to play to win it, and I get that Pep's going to be applying rotation, which he always does. I'll accept that, but there's no questioning the quality that we have. Whoever Pep puts out there, they're good enough to win matches, and I say let's go for it. Let's go for it. Period.
Yeah, I mean, Ozzy, if you look at the actual draw itself, you've got City, Burnley, United, Fulham, Brighton, Grimsby, Sheffield United, Blackburn. A championship club is going to Wembley Stadium.
It's looking that way, but I mean, I kind of looking at it slightly in a conspiracy kind of way, that it just feels like, especially the Burnley City game, Vinny against Pep, Vinny coming back. It feels very much set up by the Premier League or the FA. Do you know what I mean? To the point of like,
you saying it's hot balls?
I mean, it's going back to your prediction saying that it's going to be a United City final. I mean, it just feels that to get that, because the FA Cup has been talked about over the last few years, like it's lost its shine. Do you know what I mean? That it's not what it once was. And you could see the FA kind of maybe rigging it slightly so they kind of get these romantic kind of, as we talked about with Vinny coming back to the Etihad, and the likes of big sales of United against City, the derby in Wembley. You can see that these things probably going on. It just happens. And so for me, it's wonderful to see, though, that, lower league teams have been able to kind of beat some of the bigger boys, like the Spurs, and progress into the last eight. I think that's brilliant. It's what you want to see. It's what the FA Cup is especially about. But I do feel that it probably will end up being United and City in the final.
Just before we continue, Vader has to shoot. Vader, do you just want to promote yourself, mates?
Oh, Martin, you know me. If I give him the opportunity, I'm gonna take it. And great show as always, guys. PD, nice to meet you.
As well.
Sir Alan, Ozzy, and obviously Rich left earlier.
You stop calling him sir.
No, but that's what it says, sir. Treble father. I mean, it's all good.
Yeah, that's all right.
Get him on the big screen. Come on,
right?
Get him on the big screen.
Oh no! This is good. They can pause.
I'm bringing
and check
you back,
it out.
Pete. Don't worry.
All right. Appreciate it. Show this Sunday, 9 p.m. UK time. Cite Intelligent Agendas. None of this dumb, silly, old banter, old talking points. We're going to be speaking with intelligence, and we're going to be addressing the best supporting fans, or putting into context what it is to be a fan, and stop all this measuring sticks and who does what. Talk sports. You're talking nonsense about big, small clubs and fan bases, and I'm addressing it on the show Sunday, 9 p.m. UK time. Thanks for having me on the show, Martin.
Anytime, and I will be there with my rag stuff ready.
Take care. Thanks for having me, guys.
Make sure you watch Sunshine. Cheers, Vader. You're a star. No, we're only going to run another couple of minutes. Alan.
Yes, mate.
Same with you. Is this the beauty of the FA Cup? What we're seeing this season?
I hope so. As far as sitting United final, that would be nice. But I've noticed, I've just checked now that how close the Champions League next round is when it comes to the FA Cup semi-finals. And believe it or not, we've got a Champions League game the week after. So the same thing happened last year. We got to the semi-final, we played the Mickey Mouse team and got thrashed by Arsenal. So it's we've got to be careful that, because Pep will prioritise the Champions League over the FA Cup without any shadow of a doubt. We might not like it, but he will. So we'll just have to wait and see. I'm looking forward to playing Vinny. There'll be great reception for that. And seeing teams like Grimsby in it, that's what the FA Cup's all about, isn't it? Just be honest.
Well, the West Ham game has now been postponed. We were due to play West Ham. Obviously, that's now postponed. So we're going to have to squeeze another midweek game in.
Exactly. So
at some point. But to me, this was always my problem with this. If you beat Burnley, you're at Wembley with your last 4. Do you remember this last year, Ozzy? We're right back to where we were last season. And Pep's having to make Andy Ortega has broke his race. Because funnily enough, we still know nothing about Ortega yet. That's been kept so damn quiet at the minute. We don't actually fully know what Stefan Ortega's injury is, whether it's short-term, long-term, knock, whatever. Suppose we'll find out on Saturday if he's on the bench. But, or whether Carson's there, FIFA will be happy. He'll be like, Carson! Someone in the chat, Pete, has been begging to get Scott Carson in the net all season.
You can always rely on
You don't know why. He's just desperate to get Carson in the net, but wants to sign Neymar and Mbappe. Everybody else, but just have Scott. It's like a spot the odd man out game with that 11. Yeah. We'll have everyone and then Scott Carson.
He's not let us down when he's played, though. Come on.
Didn't he play against
every
Newcastle?
time he's played?
Didn't he play against Newcastle when he did play the full game?
He was great as well. That's when Torres bagged that trick. Stop, you're making Pete cry there.
I remember that game as well.
Anyway, no, we're right back where we were last season. I'm like, I'm going to buy a ticket for if we get there. If I'm only saying if, I'm not saying
you're not allowed to go. You're not allowed, because every time you go, we lose or draw.
Stop me, bitch! I'm going. Deal with it. If we get there, if we beat Burnley and we get there, we're right back to where we were. Do we stick out? And imagine we get United in the semi.
Oh, God.
And you're like, here we go again. And we've got Real Madrid banging up if we get through Leipzig. Pete, you've got this to come, mate, when you're sitting there going, do we juggle this or do this? It's like, where'd you go with it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I just don't want to go all the way to Wembley and have Ozzy crying at me again because I've gone down there and we've got beat.
What game was that one again?
No, I went to the Liverpool game last year and I'm doing a show with Ozzy. I did it in the car park. And Ozzy's there talking away. And this Liverpool fan just knocks on my window and goes, ha! And we're live on air, and I'm having to deal with this Liverpool fan just taking the utter mick out of me. And I'm like, oh, can't be doing this.
All I'll say is last year when Martin went away from home, where it was, we didn't win.
Oh.
Every time he went, we got to give him shit about it. Saying you're not going, you're banned from going to away games.
Yeah. Went to West Ham away, got knocked out. Away, we got a draw. I'm like, just give up.
Yeah. We've got a break eventually there, Martin. We can only hope.
I got Crystal Palace tickets, but I've given them away now. So, like,
good. Don't go, you're bad.
No, I didn't want to travel 19 hours down to Sellers Park. I know. I've
been to Sellers Park a few times. And
I've been to Sellers Park, and it was a nightmare getting there as well.
Yeah, it's the worst ground in the world.
And the view I had as well was just
yours is well easy, Pete. It's straight up the A1 and you're up there. It's like
true. Well, yeah, they rather go down the M25.
No, I always go up the A1 and straight up. Just easier. The FA Cup. I'm at this stage where I want to win it now. We're coming this far. Let's win it.
You're not going, Martin, so don't stop dreaming.
Don't worry, Alan. You get your subscription and your batteries out, mate. You'll be right as rain watching it.
Mate, I flew out when I immigrated in 2007. I flew over for the Wigan game. Just flew over for 5 days to watch us get beat by Wigan at Wembley. Oh dear me, I couldn't believe it.
Ortega only needs one hand. Behave. Go on, Ozzy, for the last 5.
Yeah.
What was the only reason I wanted to leave it? I was going to do a midweek show on it. But go on.
Well, I might as well cover some of it. some of the latest news that's coming out of obviously City. I think you touched upon it a little bit earlier, Martin, saying Laporte is even looking increasingly like he's going to leave. He's not particularly happy right now. He's not happy being a glorified sub. Kind of rings back to the likes of Cancelo. So City are looking for buyers basically now. Obviously, the rumours are Barcelona. I actually think Real Madrid might come in because I think they could do this a really good centre back, and I think I can't think of anyone better for them to look at. I think they'll have the money as well, and I think that's City looking at another centre back, and they are apparently looking at Guardiola, and they are looking to spend up to nearly 100 million on him if need be.
Who was it? Who are looking at? Who did I mention about 5 months ago? You know,
let's not get back onto the likes of Koulibaly, shall we?
It was Richard that mentioned it, not Martin.
No, yeah. City have obviously been linked with loads of players in the last. Bellingham's. Well, we kind of know we're in for Bellingham. Whether we get them or not is another subject.
No,
I think it's down to us and Liverpool. There is talk of Declan Rice. I'd be flabbergasted.
Can you imagine Martin's face if we got him? Oh God!
Well, the thing is, apparently that City are looking at bolstering the midfield in the summer. They are.
It looks like increasingly Gundogan and Bernardo will leave.
Yeah.
Looks like Laporte. I think the idea is they want to bolster. The idea is to bring 2 or 3 midfielders in. There possibly could be a winger, but it will not be Leao. Apparently, they have distanced themselves completely from Leao. There is no Leao interest. There is no Leroy Sané, so I know everyone's going to be because Sané coming back to Manchester.
Don't want him back. Lazy.
Drop the dream. It's over.
I think it all depends on. I mean, we feel it's going to be a big summer of spending. I think it just depends on priority targets. I think obviously Bellingham is probably the big target. You know, if they can get hold of him.
Left hold back, please.
Yeah, that is on the list. Apparently, that is on the list.
It is, but at the same time, I think City feel that if they get Carvalho through the door, they believe that he can be a potential left back / centre back. So it kind of serves. I know that's not what you want to hear, Alan, but I
want a professional left back for the first time in 7 years. Not these.
Alan, you got to remember though, because you need to get. Mate. We're not playing a back 4, mate. You need to get that. So
I don't care.
You need to really get your head round it, mate.
I just want a left back, please. A left back. Back now.
So yeah, it's looking like strengthen the midfield. It's looking like we're going to have to look at replacing Laporte. And as Martin said, potentially a winger. I don't think Raphael's completely off the table. I think it's just City are looking at strengthening the negotiating with him.
Apparently, he's due to sign a new deal.
Well, that's been said for quite a while, Martin. This is nothing new. Milan have been floating this for the last couple of years with him, and he's not signed on the dotted line. So I very much doubt that he'll sign now because I think he does want to move. I think he does want to play in a bigger. Well, no offense to Milan, but I think he wants to play with a club that are going to actually challenge for things. I don't think Milan are really going to be kind of pushing for the likes of their league or the Champions League in any time soon, really. So I think right now, you know, with him being in the last year of his contract, I think it's the perfect time for him to move. So I'm not ruling it out as much as the news are, but they will look at other options as well. You know, they're looking at possibly the guy from Brighton, the Japanese. Is he Japanese? I want to say.
Tomo. They'll get a few out there. There's a lot of. I think we know there's going to be a lot of midfield. I'm just going to leave this up on there because it does actually end us quite well. Actually, that the midfield is the area we're going to strengthen big time. There's talk of all sorts. talk of Rice, talk of Bellingham, like Ozzy says, talk of McAllister, talk of
there's even talk of bringing in what's his face from
Kovacic,
Barcelona,
Chelsea, De Jong. There's been all sorts, and I think
So,
what you need to realise is Manchester City will be very active this summer, very, very active, and they're going to spend money.
just while we've got you here, Pete, because you know obviously it's difficult for you to kind of talk about what City will do in the summer. But what would you like to see Newcastle do in the summer? I've not really heard of targets really coming in at the moment. Is there anyone you think that you'd like to see come in? You know, I know there was talk of what's his face at Leicester,
Madison
possibly. I mean, we were linked with him as well, but I mean, I could see him particularly going there. I think he would do you a good job.
Yep.
But is there anyone else that, I mean, I barely hear anything really.
I think we could do with a new CDM, because I know Bruno's been playing there, but I think we need to stop playing Bruno a bit further higher up. I think a good CDM would be great. Someone like Savage from Lazio, we've been linked with him, and he sounds like a really good player. Or someone like an Alvarez kind of player would be great as well. I think we could do with another striker as well. I think Wilson's going to go down the pecking order for me because of his age and the fact he is very injury prone as well. And he's even said it himself. If he's not 100% fit, he doesn't play. So I think another striker would be great. Someone like a Marcus Thuram would be good. And I think we could do with another, at least another left back. I've heard talks of Kieran Tierney from Arsenal. Decent player, but my concerns are he is made of glass as well. Centre, I think we could do with another centre back. I think we need to move Jamal Lascelles on the end of the season now, and someone to like back up Botman, Share, and Ben.
I honestly think you need a striker. I know you might not agree, but I you know, I've had my doubts on Isak. I watched him a bit in Spain, and I thought he was not great there. I just think I don't think Isak's the answer. If I'm honest with you, I think you will get a better striker. I really do.
I'll tell you who I'd take a punt on.
There's not that many around at decent prices.
That's the only thing. That's the only thing. Yeah.
No, but Newcastle obviously will spend the money, obviously.
I think you could take a punt at Husanawa at Olympic. Is it Marseille or?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He was linked with us for quite a long time, and I think him in the midfield, he's a very creative player. I think he could particularly come in and do a great job for Newcastle. I feel like you could do with someone who could hold up the ball.
Yep.
I think it's difficult because trouble is Chelsea have skewed the market so much now. I mean, you're looking at 40 or 50 million just for the Championship players coming through the door. So, I mean, there's talk of that chap who played against us the other night. Is he called Bell? What was he called? The midfielder for Bristol City. They're looking at 40 million just starting. So that's a Championship player.
They've got a good player. They've got two good players. They've got Bell on the wing and the left wing, number 7. He's also well rated as well. A lot of clubs looking at him.
Yeah, and that's it. You're going to get new sponsors. It won't kick in straight away because it'll go on to it's amortized going down. So new sponsors don't mean you can go. Yeah, it gives you more wiggle room because that will work as you're going through the years.
Yeah.
I have just got to finish on this, and I think it is great to finish on this. Sadly, a Manchester City fan who was a mad fan, Patrick brought it up earlier. As you can see, a Manchester City family rose 6 years old. She complained of stomach pain, and 2 or 3 hours later, she passed away, sadly. She was an absolute mad Manchester City fan. There is going to be a minute's applause in the 6th minute on Saturday at the game. If you are going, please stand up, show your appreciation. Like it says, please let's all stand, show our love for Millie Rose, show her family our loving support. The death of Millie Rose was tragic, I thought, so with her family and loved ones, rest in peace, little angel. And I just think it's what, it's so sad. 6 years old is nothing, should not be going that young. And I want every blue who is there on Saturday to stand up and show that love, and the family that we're all there. We're all Blues. And I know the Newcastle fans will 100% be behind that as well, Pete. I know they will.
Yeah, they will. I presume
the whole stadium should stand up and show that appreciation at the weekend to her family. So, yeah, not the best way to end, but it's something I think, we're going to show that we are all together and we're all Blues. And football, I know we talk about rivalry and tribalism, but it's a sport we all love. And sometimes, times like this, you realise things are bigger, things are better. Anyway, big thank you, Pete, for coming on, mate. You had a super
problem.
Thank
you very much.
Tell everyone where you are, mate.
My channel is PD Proudlock, so feel free to check me out and subscribe. I'll be back tomorrow with a show at 8 o'clock. My football show with guests on as well, and there'll be the live watch along for the game on Saturday as well. So yeah, feel free to check out, subscribe to my channel, PD Proudlock, and follow me on my social media as well, which is PD Proudlock. That is Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat.
There you go. And Pete is a regular, does come on here every time we play Newcastle now. I do a show with Pete, well, when I can, during the week, we do a Premier League review show as well.
Looking like the way you're doing. You pass as a Newcastle fan, really. Just change the
no, it's not just Newcastle. We have all West Ham and
we believe you, Martin. We believe you.
Crystal Palace, Steve with his.
Steve loves you. Steve's the biggest Newcastle fan you've ever met. Pete knows what I mean.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Pete does a great show tomorrow night. Hopefully, we'll get him back on for the reaction as well. Win or lose, you know me. I don't shy away when we win or lose. I'm always there. Win, lose, or draw. Not like Alan. Not coming on. Getting beat 6-0. Alan, thank you for coming on. You are a legend as always, mate. They've loved you.
Yeah, just a quick one. If you want a City fan in Melbourne, we're in the Imperial on the corner of Burke and Spring Street on Saturday night. It's 11:30 p.m. early kickoff, so we want a big crowd. And we're up in the function rooms on the level 1 as well. So we've got the bar there to go out, and we've got that exclusively. So if you're in Melbourne and you want to watch the City game with all the City fans, please come to the Imperial on Burke Street.
Yeah. Too many kids dying. Yeah, it is. It's not good. PD food picks and Klopp's team jokes are hilarious.
Oh,
yeah. He does like to see. They don't like Klopp up there. I don't know why.
Well, it was just.
I've got Klopp as your next manager.
Oh, it was just when Tony from It's All Black and White TV came out with Mr. Teeth, and it's just kicked on from there. It's just.
Yeah. Do you go watch in Melbourne? That's clearly to you, Alan, because none of us here go and watch Melbourne, mate.
Melbourne City, yes, I do.
You might have meant the golf, I don't know.
No, well, I got to the Imperial to watch City games because I help run the official supporters club there. Man City.
Alan does go to watch Melbourne City as well. Let's raid the Big Six. You know what, Sub 2? Thank you so much. Can I just say, tonight has been tremendous. We've had over 1,100 people live on. We've had nearly 1,200 people live on the show. That is amazing. It's probably a record right now for the channel. Big thank you to every single one of you. It's your channel, always will be. Always remember that. We will be back now on Saturday with a post-match. I'll look out for the YouTube shorts. I'll do one before the game, as I always do, live from the Etihad. And then I will do a YouTube short coming out confirming what time we will be live back for the Newcastle reaction game, win, lose or draw. And next week, I've got a show coming up, hopefully about a little bit what we talked about tonight, but in more depth, talking about the red media. And a few things are going to be put to right as well. And then we'll be back Thursday night to go through the weekend's game. So loads coming up, loads of guests. Big thank you to you all. Ozzy, cheers, mate. Pass to the family.
Pleasure. Thank you very much. Again,
you're
Pete, great having you here. Appreciate you coming on, mate, and please come on again soon. And I've got to say it before you go, love the t-shirt.
Oh, kiss. Thanks so much.
Always positive vibes here, mate. Thank you, Scrubber. Brilliant show, lads. Well done. Best of luck to Pete in Newcastle, except for Saturday. Yeah, definitely rest in peace, Millie. We'll be there for you on Saturday. Top of the league, and I hope it's not your last time, mate. Thank you for joining us. If you are new, please consider subscribing as we march towards 2K. All the best, everyone. And yeah, we're back at home. Can't wait. Early kickoff, 12:30. We'll be back Saturday night with all the reaction to it. So, yeah, see you then, Blues. And as always, up the Blues. Take care, and we'll see you Saturday.
Yeah.